So I'm back in the podcast room for the first time in a while, and today I'm joined again with my wife. You know, we really didn't have nothing to talk about. She literally just asked me before we did this, what would we talk? I just went to her and asked her, I said, you know, you want to do a podcast with me since it's been a minute? But I figured I would start off with this, and then you can take off from here. When I was little, I always dreamed of having, of course, my own place like we do now. But I thought that I was going to pretty much live by myself and do whatever I wanted. And, you know, whenever I was a little kid, I dreamed, you know, I'm going to get a little easy job, make pretty good money. And to me, back then, good money was like $500 a week.
Yeah.
And I would just play video games whenever I wanted to. I would just go out and buy as many pizzas as I wanted and all this stuff. And
you do kind of buy pizza, but...
Well, not whenever you're around, because you kind of put a stop to that. It's good, but that's what I want to talk about today, is that life has a cruel way of getting you on the right track. Because the truth of the matter is, other than me and you being engaged the first year the house was built, and you coming up every weekend, we wasn't completely living together at the time, I never really was a bachelor in this place. It was always my wife's coming to see me this week, or my future wife's coming to see me this weekend. And then, you know, whenever COVID first hit, you did come here and stay here for a few weeks whenever your job was telling you to work from home. And it was always this is our thing. It was never this house was built and it was my thing. It was even from the get-go, buying the land, building the house, it was our thing. And I'm glad that it was built on that, because even the day when you moved here, right before we got married, there was no awkward transition phase. Everything just kind of felt right. Now, to me, everything felt right, but I know for you were leaving mom and dad and moving here.
It still just feels like the longest sleepover of my life.
Because you still look at me today and say you can't believe we're married.
I know, I'll like pull up sometimes in the evenings and I'm like, whoa, this is weird. I live here.
Did you ever think like that whenever you were little?
Oh yeah. I mean, my thing though was just when I could drive, I was just gonna go to the store and buy as much cookie dough as I wanted and eat it.
That's how I felt.
But then it's like, nothing like that. At all. I don't know. I never really thought, I always was like, oh, I'll have a husband and we'll build a house. But, I mean, I kind of thought that way, but at the same time, not gonna lie, I told both my parents I was not moving out until I got married, and that's what I did. I had no desire to ever live by myself. But you're opposite than me.
It's strange, because we both have, anybody that gets married to someone else, you have to change certain things about yourself. It's not necessarily changing who you are, but you have to adapt to the other person.
Yeah, it's more of a personality thing than it is a changing your characteristics of what makes up you. It's just being mindful of the other person. Like, I mean, this one's kind of silly, but like, you really can't stand smacking, so I'm not going to talk with my mouth full while we're sitting on the couch eating pizza or something.
It's true. I have a problem with smacking. They say that there's a thing about that online, but of course it's a self-diagnosed thing. There's not really a proven thing, but they say some people just are triggered by that. Like, some people are triggered by...
But it's just like I don't like you to go in another room and close the door. I don't like to be by myself. But you like to go in a room by yourself and
that's just one thing that we've had to work on together. So if you're new out there to being married, if you're new out there to being with somebody, living together, and you'll quickly learn and realize that they can definitely get on your nerves a little bit. I get on your nerves sometimes you get on my nerves, but that's part of it.
One thing I've observed, I guess, is, I mean, we haven't even been married a year, but I feel like already I know and say all the time, like, marriage is not rocket science. It's actually, the concept of it is very simple, but you can't be petty about things or hold grudges, or that's what makes it complicated, you know? I'm like I will get all offended if someone's like, oh, y'all are still in the honeymoon stage. There is no honeymoon stage if you do it right. That's my opinion. And I know both of us are the same on that. I mean, it's very simple. You just constantly respect the other person. And if somebody has your respect, then I feel like, I don't want to say I constantly am putting you before other people, but in a sense I am, you know, and even myself sometimes. Have to put you before myself for it to work.
Well, this weekend was a prime example of it. She was gone all weekend last weekend.
I've been gone every weekend since January.
Every weekend, but I've seen you mostly on Sunday.
Right.
Saturday you were gone, but last weekend you were gone all day Saturday and most all day Sunday. And then during the week, some days I'm able to get home right after 4 whenever she gets home, or right after 5. Some nights I get home at 6, 7 o'clock, and really the only thing I will have time to do, since I get up so early from my job, is to walk in, say hi, take a shower, eat what she's cooked, and go straight to bed. And there's really no time to spend with each other on that. So when you take in consideration that she missed out on time with me last weekend, which I know was important to her, it's also important to me as well, but she's on a different level, and that's okay. That's okay.
That's my love language.
It's okay to be on a different language about the same thing. I want to be around her, want to be with her, but it doesn't crush me as bad as it will her to not have me in her life as much as she would like to because of work and other things going on. So knowing that last weekend you were gone like you were, and then this week during the work week we didn't hardly get to spend a whole lot of time other than the usual typical, you know, like I said, coming in, taking a shower, eating, and going to bed.
When you factor in the time from me cooking to you showering, me showering, I pack my lunches, everything. I mean, we probably spend 20, 30 minutes together, if even that, just not doing anything.
And then you were gone Thursday night, and then Saturday you were gone all day yesterday. So whenever you got home yesterday, in my mind, I knew this is when it counts to make sure she's number one. Because I spent all day yesterday working on my stuff and doing my things, and I made sure that I prioritized. It's very important that you prioritize things in your life, because you're going to have so much going on between work, trying to stay social at some point or some level, trying to do the things that you enjoy, and trying to incorporate the person you love into that as well.
And then seeing family, and this will have a birthday, you'll have that event to go to. And I mean, yesterday, spending time together was literally as simple as we took a ride to Sonic, which was exciting for me because I've been eating healthy. And I said, like, Tuesday or Wednesday of last week, I was having a rough week. And I was like, we're getting ice cream this weekend. And so that's what we did. We went and we sat and we ate and we talked and we weren't on cell phones and this and that. And then, I mean, this morning, I still feel like we spent time together today. We got up and went to church together, came back home, watched a movie, and then did what we needed to do this evening before the rest of the week. But we ate crawfish. Yeah. I can't help but laugh because I think things like this to myself all the time, and I told him this while we were eating crawfish, but I'm like, I can't believe, I guess, what some people will put up with from another person, as bad as that sounds. But I mean, yesterday, it was about probably 8 o'clock when we went to go and eat. That's usually what time he goes to bed. So I was like, oh wow, we're doing something at 8 o'clock. So okay, here we go, let me roll with that. And then today I was like, I kind of want some crawfish. So we loaded up and went and got crawfish, and I'm like, you got other girls that are worried about their dude running off with another woman or something.
But at the same time, she goes to work, then she teaches dance on the side. She doesn't go to dance every day, but the days that she does go, she really gets home at like 11 o'clock, 11:30 on Thursday night, on top of getting back up Friday morning, going to her regular job. And then if she has competition or something going on that weekend, she leaves straight from work on Friday to go handle and take care of that. While she's doing all of this, she's not a stay-at-home mom. She doesn't stay here at the house all day watching TV. Nope. She's going to work a job. Even though her job is different from my job, she's still going to work. You cannot take a look at who does what. Oh, this job's more physical. Or this.
I mean, I'm not hauling drinks and heavy stuff all day.
But you're still at work.
I'm dealing with the public. And that's
whenever I come home, she takes the time out to text me, how far are you from coming home? So I make sure dinner is as fresh as possible. I don't want to cook it too early because it's going to be cold when you get through taking a shower and all this stuff. And she's in the kitchen. And let's just be completely honest here. You cook and clean 90% of the time.
Most of the time, yeah.
Most of the time. Every once in a while, I'll look up and like, hey, I'll go wash the dishes for you. And it's not so much that I don't want to do dishes, even though I don't want to do dishes. But sometimes I just get up and I'm tired. I'll just go straight to bed. And then you're left cleaning up the mess most of the time. And you have got to prioritize and take care of the other person. You are going to sacrifice something on your end at some point or the other. Last night, that involved me using my gas. That involved me staying out later than I normally do. And that involved me spending money on food. And we ate good. We went to Sonic and we got food and we got ice cream at the end because I knew it was important to her to do that. You're going to have to do things like that. Stop trying to minimize the sacrifice. When you minimize the sacrifice, you minimize the flow of respect in the relationship. There will always be a sacrifice on it. She sacrifices for me. I sacrifice for her. That is part of love, marriage, and bondage with one another. And
I think that the thing that goes into that too is it's not always something complicated. I mean, we've been watching how much we've been going out to eat or doing extra this and that just because we have a lot of stuff we're wanting to be able to do this year. But, I mean, so what if we went and ate fast food? You know, maybe that was $30 we could have saved, but that was also quality time that we spent together. Or you staying up late, or me... well, that sounds bad, but, you know, taking interest in things that you're interested in when I'm kind of like, you know, just to spend time together. But don't get me wrong, I mean, there are people that have relationships that have been, you know, 40, 50 years old that I'm sure could, like, school us on marriage advice. But sometimes I get to looking at people they get so stuck in being grumbly about everything. I'm like, it's not really that complicated. Like, you got to remember why we signed up for this.
And another thing on my end, as far as being a guy, I think I learned this from watching my dad, watching his dad before him, my mom's dad, my grandparents. I come to learn the true lesson in life of the title being the man of the house. The man of the house comes last. Like, that's just it. The man of the house, he will eat last. He will go to work. He will be the one that works the most if he has to. He will do the hardest, most strenuous job to make sure that everything is taken care of. That is how it has to be. And I feel like today we're growing up around so many boys that don't want to step into that because they know, even if they don't exercise it, they know what that title entails. And being a man of the house, it's an honor. It's a tradition. It's generation passed from generation. It's not something to feel bad about, but it's going without and receiving hardly any credit for doing so. That's part of being a man of the house, is to make sure that she is taken care of. If tomorrow she got real sick, couldn't go to work, it's up to me to make sure all this is done and handled and still taken care of. It has to be.
That last thing you said, without any credit, that could go any way you look at it for any person, you know? But I'm like, I feel like now, I think it's really just, I don't want to say, social media, but like our society is that way. You can't do something unless you're going to post it or someone's going to see it or this or that. And I'm like, you know, I don't get a gold star for doing Walmart grocery pickup, planning out our meals on my phone, like cleaning the house, doing the laundry, washing the sheets, or this, that, and whatever. Just like, you know, no one pats you on the back when you pay the mortgage every month. It's just... Or
when I go pick up the grocery pickup. You
like,
know,
that's life.
It's
that's,
a team effort.
That's exactly my point is, you know, I feel like, especially people our age get caught up in money. Like, who pays for this, that, and whatever else. And to me, I'm like, I don't really care who pays for what, because I might not have paid for something, but I might have done double the work in another area of our life. It kind of evens itself out.
Well, when you told me about your savings and how much you were getting it up to, that to me is a proud moment, because that was both of us working together, that her savings was able to get up far enough. I mean, we're fixing to be investing in a whole house generator, where if these lights go out, we're okay. We can do that. My truck had to get fixed and it had an oil leak on it. We can fix that. She had to put new tires on her car. We can do that. And me and her are the same as far as we like stuff. We wanted a nice house. She loves her new car. You never really grew up with a new
Oh, yeah.
car.
I mean, I literally, like, some people probably would think that's the silliest sounding thing, but I told them all the time, like, never thought I would have a new car. Ever. And, I mean, here I am. Every time I get in my car, I'm like, wow, here's me in my new car. It's just, you know, that's another thing that's a priority to me, and we both, I feel like, do teamwork to make sure that that's something that we can keep. And I know one thing that's important to me that Justin has had to jump on board with is trips. I love to have trips planned to look forward to, but that ain't free. Or if they were free, I wouldn't be here right now.
We'd be going somewhere.
I'm very strategic with what I do with my money so that I'm able to pay for us to go on trips. And again, that's a teamwork thing, you know. I tell him all the time. I mean, he pays for my car. That's not anything that embarrasses me or like I don't feel like it's a secret, you know, because I did not ask for the car. That was something he took upon himself, was to have a reliable car for me so that was safe and that wasn't ever anything he was worrying about.
It all goes back to what I said earlier, being the man of the house and making sure everything else is taken care of.
Yeah, which part of that, I'm like, whoa, that's weird. Like someone bought me
You
an
could
entire car.
You could have gotten around in your truck that you were driving when I met you.
Mm-hmm.
You probably would have had to made a repair to, and because it doesn't have a note on it, it's a much older vehicle.
Yeah.
But I remember when we first met, you always wanted to be able to, you and your mom go somewhere to eat, or, you know, if you ever wanted your friends to go ride with you somewhere.
Two-door truck.
In a little two-door truck. And I just, even before I got engaged to her, I wanted better for her. And that has to be there. Ladies, your man has got to want better for you. And you've got to want better for him as well. And, you know, when we had open house, I had this 12, 13-year-old girl, she was with her dad. They come by the house to do open house, and she loved the bed. Your mom and dad paid for the mattress, and you paid for the headboard, the running boards, and all. You had your bed that you wanted, and you had money saved up. You said, I'm going to get this bed because it's what I want. I remember going and getting the stuff and bringing it home, and me and my buddy Cameron unloaded it and had it all set up for when you came that weekend. And I'll never forget, when we had open house, everybody was walking in. I was like, wow, this bed's gorgeous. It's, you know, great. And the little girl said, I want a bed like that. And I told her, I said, you know how you get a bed like that? You know how you get a house like this? You got to be able to leave it early in the morning. You got to be able to leave it, to walk away from it, to be able to enjoy it. When it's cold outside, when it's hot, when it's raining, I still got to go to work. I still got to make sure I'm paying for this stuff. It all comes back to that. Work hard, be respectful. It will amaze you in today when I hear so many people talking about the system is screwed up. You can only get ahead if you know people. No. This is still the land of opportunity, regardless of what the media and what everybody else tells you it is. It will amaze you going to work literally anywhere. What a good work ethic, a smile, and literally half a personality, a quarter of a personality, what it will do for you. You'll be running the place in no time with those things. You're going to take on more responsibility, obviously. You're going to be doing things everybody else tells you you're getting screwed over. Quit listening to them. And just be you.
And that's why I think we're on the same page as much as we are. I have a extremely different perspective on work at a job. And not from you, but the fact of I don't look within a box and I'm like, this is all there is. If you know me to any level, I feel like it's pretty common knowledge at this point that I probably don't, I don't think I will work for someone else for the rest of my life. I really don't. I've been like that since I was young. My whole perspective on it is different, but goes along with what he said. It's just your work ethic. What's your idea of success in that area? Because it's not always, you know, a $4,000 paycheck or whatever it is you're looking for. I think we're both creative and optimistic on that side of things, which makes a difference. You know, I don't feel like you have to know somebody or this and that. It's just about how hard you work and what you're willing to work for.
You know, I just showed you the other day I got my 3rd week vacation. I originally thought that I had to be at my job for 8 years because that's what I was told. Well, apparently they changed it to 5 years. And, you know, I don't make 5 years till October as far as timeliness wise, but considering that this is the year, this October makes 5 years, than it applied to it. And my biggest fear, I've told you this before, is that I've been to these retirement parties. I've seen guys that have been working for this company that leave, and they have people around them that they shed tears, they laugh, they cry, and they reflect on old times they worked together and where they started out. And I am so afraid that today, that whenever it comes my time, 25, 30, 35 years from now, however long I'm working somewhere, that I'm going to stand up at that retirement party and I'm not going to have hardly any memories with anybody because people quit so much. I want somebody to last with me. I want somebody to be there with me at the end. I want somebody to make it in this world just like I am. I want to see other people do good as well. I want to be able to point and say, you know, me and that one there worked a long time ago on a truck, and now look at us now, we're here. And I want to hear them say things about me and us to have a genuinely good time with that. And I'm so scared to death that I'm going to be alone looking at a bunch of new faces because people give up so easily. If you can have that one day, you can have a job with good 401k, good benefits, and you can have 6 to 7 weeks paid vacation a year. But it takes paying your dues. And if you keep giving up because you're tired of paying dues, when you quit this job because you're tired of paying dues, what are you going to do when you go to the next job? You're going to go, of course, start at the bottom and have to pay your dues with them. And before you know it, you're in your mid-30s, then you're in your 40s, and time is slowly slipping away. And you're not going to have what you could have if you stayed and just been loyal from the get-go. And I get some people get tired of things, but sometimes I bite my tongue all the time because you're important to me. And I know that it's not just about me.
Well, also, I mean, this goes into, I feel like this could step on toes, but a lot of people our age now, it's no big deal for them to be gone for a week or two or months at a time. I mean, I don't know because you've never done that working. I'm not down on that. I mean, you got to do what you got to do, but that's normal. Like, it's completely normal for someone's husband or, you know, somebody's daddy at that point to be gone for that amount of time. And because it's like, I feel like, you know, you're home every night and you obviously make decent enough money. I mean, you pretty much carry most of our bills and expenses. But you're not gone. I feel like, yeah, you could make more money, and then I could be like a lot of other people and have the opportunity to not even have to work because you could be making that much money, but then you wouldn't be here. I don't know, boiler making, this and that, whatever. I'm not down on any of that. Like I said, you gotta do what you gotta do to make a living, and maybe that works for some people, but...
And if I didn't have the job I had today and had to do that,
yeah.
I would.
And it's, you know, I'm not down in that, but again, I know it was important to me that he was here, because I'm like, we got married, we built a house, it's like an hour from everyone that I really know. I mean, I know people here, like your mom and dad are here, but my friends, family, my other job is an hour away. So I'm like, I don't want to move an hour to be by myself. And if that's what it came down to, like you said, we can make it work, but that's so available now. It's just no big deal to not be home. And that might, like I said, that might work for some people. I know I don't want to do that unless we have to. I know that wouldn't work for me. Quality time is important to me. And if you're in Texas or wherever you are, that makes me go, whoa.
It's important because I know that those jobs, I mean, they have to be there. Someone has to do those jobs. And I feel for people that take off on those jobs and they do them because they have to, because you get out in a lot of these rural areas of America, there is no jobs and people have to go off to make a living, to supply for their family. They don't want to leave where they grew up, where their family was, and that's honorable. What I want to stress the most, especially to anybody that's my age or younger, do not do things strictly for chasing money. Do not do these because you hear people say, oh, you can make $2,000 a week or $2,500, and the first thing you think about is buying that big brand new truck and buying this and buying a new boat and just going crazy with things. Because what I have learned, right before me and you got engaged, well, actually, the same year me and you were getting married, we were engaged, but it was early January. We had just gotten that car. My job set me down and said, you're fixing to change job titles. It was a company move. There was nothing I could do except accept it or go find something else. And it was taking the route I have now. And I actually took a $50 a week pay cut whenever I first took this job because the route wasn't really set up just yet. I was now going to commission based, considering what I was used to making, and I had so much looking at me. I'm like, I just built a house. We just basically got a new car. The note went up a little bit on the car. Yeah.
This was like right after we signed the papers.
And me and you sat down before we were ever married, ever living together. Like, I'm worried about this, but something is telling me to hang in there. And we had to change up a little bit. I had to stop eating out as much. I had to kind of just control my money a little bit better and watch things, be more mindful.
Just be conscious.
And later on, the route changed again. And then, not that long ago, you remember I told you our commission changed. And my money has gone back up. And I'm getting raises every year from this. And it's like God was basically walking me through the steps saying, don't try to run before you walk. Crawl a little bit. I need to understand what low money is. I need to understand what my budget needs to be. And I need to appreciate the weeks whenever I make better. And I could have walked away. I could have said, this is unfair. I didn't ask for this. This ain't what I wanted. I'm making less money now. And there's no telling where I'd be today. But something told me to stay there. And somebody out there listening has got that feeling. Like you're aggravated, you're fed up, I know you're upset. You want to say something because that's just in us sometimes to share our emotions and to voice our opinions. But something is still sitting there telling you, do not walk away. And it's not your wife, it's not your husband, it's not your kids. It is something on the back of your neck telling you, stay here. This is where I led you for a reason. And you need to listen to that. You need to trust in that because something better is around the corner.
Oh, yeah. I went through a lot of that last year, I feel like. And I know he knows exactly where I'm going with that. But it was a thing that, I just had to wait. And I did not want to wait. I did not want to stick it out, but I did. And then, in the particular situation I'm talking about, I'm happy now. Things could always be better. You can always want more. But I stuck out the sucky part. Mm-hmm. And now I'm like, okay, well, that wasn't too bad. Like, I'm glad that I did that. I've learned a lot from it. But it's no fun to stick it out, but...
What is so crazy to me is right before COVID hit, you applied at the bank that you're at now.
Slap before the shutdown.
And when the shutdown happened, nobody was hiring literally anywhere.
Oh, no. I was applying...
Because we were trying to get her moved up here before we got married, but literally 2 weeks before we got married.
Oh, yeah.
The job came open because they were starting to hire everywhere once again. You had an appointment to go talk to the guy at C-Spire.
I did a couple interviews, and I literally started my new job October 4th. And we got married October 24th. And I'm so planny. I was like, I'm going to move early and I'll be settled, and then that way, I'll have been there a little bit. They'll know me. It won't be so bad taking off. But I went in my interview probably the week before that. I got hired immediately. And I was like, hey, here I am. I'm moving. I need off all of these days. Some of it was for like hair appointments, but I was getting married. And there I was. October 4th, before our wedding. I moved. I found out, really, I believe, if I remember correctly, I found out on like a Thursday that I had gotten the job and moved that weekend. Mm-hmm. It was very, very quick, very, very not planned, but...
And some of the biggest things that's going to happen in your life, they don't gradually happen. They happen quick like that. She is a prime example of that. Getting engaged, getting married, getting a new job, moving, all of that happened quickly for her. Even though it was spread out over a year and a half between our engagement.
Again, is a funny thing because,
it didn't feel like a year and a half.
16-year-old me, I'm going to date someone for 5 years. We're going to get married. I'm going to have 2 kids by the time I'm 22. And here I am, 25. And I'm like, oh no, babies are cute, but that's a big deal. And we got married. I feel like it was long enough, but we were at the point in life where we were about to be making big decisions, and decisions that I feel like we knew we wanted to make together. Which now that I look back on it, I'm like, it was about a year of our, not necessarily long distance, but long-ish distance. I don't know how much longer I could have done that. I mean, it was on the weekends sometimes if we weren't busy. And like you said earlier, I teach dance and I teach the competitive team, which I absolutely love. But it takes a lot of my weekends away. I mean, January through May, I'm pretty much booked. And it happened quickly and things changed and there was stuff that I was uncertain about. And I'm like, whoa, is this right? Should I do this? Am I making good decisions? And that was one of the hardest things moving was jobs, honestly, because I'm like, oh my gosh, what if I pick this job and I don't like it, or should I pick this job because it has more money? And I turned down a job that on paper it looked fantastic. You know,
I still remember. I was going to say that. I remember you calling me while I was at work. I was
like distraught. I left. Talked to Justin, called my dad. I mean, I went and talked to your mom and dad. I was like, oh, what do I do? It was a lot of hours.
But the first thing I remember you saying was, I really want the other job.
Yep.
And when you said that, I said, go for it.
I wanted...
It doesn't matter that you were making less money. It doesn't matter. Yeah. That's what I wanted for you, because I knew I was going to be the one mainly taking care of things. I wanted you to be happy where you worked. You were the one that had to show up there every day to work.
That was also the other thing that I literally remember one day crying because I had another interview with another company that it just had not gone well. I mean, the interviews went well, but communicating with the company, it was not good. I didn't really like who I was having in contact. The pay was more than other places I was looking. The hours were pretty decent. It was a good job, but I just remember telling him, I was like, please don't be mad. I just don't think I'll be happy there. Like, you know, you're not getting a job to make friends, but I'm a people person and like walk in the room and read people. And I just was like, I don't think I'll like it here. I think I will be uncomfortable. I don't see me making any like work friends or, you know, literally remember calling you, pretty sure I was ugly crying at that point, and I was like, I really don't want to go, but I was in the middle of, I needed to get another job. I'm like, I can't move and us be married and not be working, and not that you wouldn't have supported me, but as much as you do support me, I'm not going to come up to you and be like, hey, pay this bill, or can I have this spending money, or whatever. That's not my nature. So it was a very frantic time of my life, but then now we're here. I love where I work at. I love the people. It's just like any other job. It's stressful at times, but I mean... That's
one thing I will tell you I love about my wife. How many times have you looked at me and asked me if you could stay home? Just kind of picking around, joking. And
honestly...
Almost every day?
Probably every day. I'm like, I just want to stay home, but...
Clean the house and play with the dogs, but I know how you are. I know how bored you'll get doing that. And number two, not only that, like I said earlier, me and her both like things. She likes taking trips.
Oh, yeah.
We could make it work with what I make, but... It would be a serious change in our life. We would not be taking trips every year.
I mean, for instance, next weekend, you're going to be out of town Saturday. So I'm hanging out with my mom. And if we walk by a Kate Spade outlet and I want to buy a purse...
You can do it.
I can do that. It's like, you know, nothing's wrong with being a stay-at-home anything, but I just... like my stuff, and I like the freedom of knowing that, I guess.
We have a car note, we have a house note. Of course, anybody that's starting out in the world, you have these things.
Yeah.
But me and you are not up to our eyeballs living paycheck to paycheck. Right. We have something on the back end of stuff does not work out. I
always tell people, like, if something were to happen and you were, you know, God forbid, to get hurt or something went on or you got laid off or this or that, like, we have options to make it work, but then also, because of the way, I always say I pay for the fun stuff. Like, you pay for the things that we have to have. I pay for the Disney Universal trip in October, and then I really wanted to go to Tennessee in December and see Christmas lights, and so we're doing that. Like, but it's because of us working together that we can, and that's even an option.
And when you see that on social media, you know, you'll see the pictures I'll post of me and her standing in front of the house, and you'll hear this and know that, you know, hey, Justin pays for that every month, whatever. But when you see us go on that trip and you see us doing cool, fun things in life, whatever, that's her on her end taking that. That's not me at all. So it is a team effort to make sure that that is working right.
Even like silly stuff, like you don't buy new pants when you need new pants.
Exactly. She takes care of that. New tennis shoes for going on trips. New luggage. I mean, you just bought suitcases.
Yep.
You have to have that stuff. I mean, it's not a thing of. I mean, yeah, it is.
There's some stuff
frivolous thing to buy,
yeah.
but you know, you have to have it if you're going on trips. So the last thing I was going to talk about tonight, we talked about work. We talked about making it somewhere in life, doing these things. I was going to ask you, your mom and your dad, they both played very vital roles in your life, and you watched them both go through things, deal with things, work together. One true blessing that me and you both have is that our parents stuck together.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
my dad, whenever I was little, he divorced his first wife, which was my brother and my sister's mom, and then he got with my mom. So even though I have a sister, I had a brother, we were half brother, half sister. Your mom and dad stayed together like you and your brother are both full brother, full sister from the get-go. What role did each one of them play, even though they both played important roles? Your work ethic, your mentality, your attention to detail,
comes
whatever.
from both of them put together, absolutely. Because I feel like I get to truly see it from both sides. Growing up, honestly, I don't even remember my mom working when I was little because she didn't. She stayed home with us. My dad was a nurse. My dad worked a lot. I mean, and I don't ever, whenever you're growing up, you don't know your parents' financial status, but I'm like, we were getting a new house. We were always going somewhere, doing something. Mom would take us to do stuff while my dad would be at work. And then I think I was in about first grade, and my dad got in a really bad car wreck. And shortly after that, our house burned. So I remember living with my grandma, and it was kind of like the roles flipped. So, I remember growing up and being well taken care of, having everything we wanted and needed, doing this, that, and whatever else. And then it switched. My mom was taking care of all of us, was taking care of my dad. I mean, my dad was really hurt. Like, I vividly remember I don't even know, I was little. I told you before, we would have to rent a vehicle at one point because he was in a bad wreck and that was gone. And he had a rod in his leg and was like 6'3", and rode in the back of a minivan because he could not bend his leg and sit in seats. And I remember a lot more of that than what they probably even know. But watching that, and then knowing that my older brother has a lot of heart problems and health problems, and they stuck through that as well, with him being little, or a baby, and being sick. And I mean, that's expensive. They were staying in a hospital and surgeries and all of that, medicine, and it's stressful. That's absolutely where I've learned a lot of who I am from, because I'm like, if they can do that and not give up, I look at people, other relationships, marriages, whatever, and they're just bickering over the silliest stuff, like can't get along for nothing. And I think about what I saw growing up, and I'm like, it can be done. It literally is a choice. There are days that I get on your nerves and you get on my nerves, and we might not be having the most fantastic marital day, but
we never go to bed mad at each other.
At the end of it, I'm like, if we're staying up an hour, 2 hours past when both of us want to go to sleep to figure it out or talk about it, or say, hey, this is why I'm annoyed, or whatever the case is, it's always able to be fixed. But I guess because my side of it, I came from a very drastic issues that anything can be worked out.
We don't start the next day with burdens from yesterday. What you're going through today, what you're having to figure out and work with your partner, you get that straight now. It does not carry over in tomorrow. Tomorrow is a new day. God forgives you of your sins literally every morning that you wake up. So it should be the same in your life. And that's just a biblical standpoint of that. That is one beautiful thing about marriage and falling in love with people. I got some of the best in-laws in the world. I'll just tell you that. And I know a lot of people love to talk and make fun of their in-laws and say they can't stand them and they're annoying. I don't have that. I never have. They've been cool and honest and upfront with me ever since the get-go. I've been the same way to them, respectful.
Yeah.
It has to be like that. And one thing about marriage, I hear people say this all the time, Well, regardless whether you like it or not, you're marrying the family. Of course you're marrying the family. You're taking their daughter. You're taking their son. You're going to be around for birthday parties and Christmases. And of course you're marrying the family. Stop trying to not be involved in the other person's family or your family especially. The great thing about that is me and you, our parents are different, but they both went through a lot of stuff together.
It's the same principle.
The same principles, and we would not have each other or like each other had our parents not built us to be who we are today. So the level of respect and love is owed to both sides because of that.
Yeah.
It is because of my mom and dad that you got me. It is because of your mom and dad and the way that they raised and brought you up that I got you. You are your own person and I'm my own person, but there was a structure, there was a learning, there was a building from the ground up.
You can't deny that your parents shape you whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
In our case, I'm okay with it, but some people aren't. But, I mean, that's the cold hard truth.
And I'm thankful to that. I'm thankful to your parents. I know you're thankful to my parents. And there's always that respect that is towards both sides just strictly because of that. You start off with knowing that, and then you go from there developing your own relationship with them. So yeah, when you fall in love with your potential spouse, one day future, house partner or your wife, husband, yeah, you're going to be marrying their family. Get over it. It's a good thing.
But I'm kind of like, in my case too, I'm like, why would I not want to have a good relationship with them on account of we live on the same road? My mom's an hour away,
yep.
But like if I really need something, I know I could call your mom, or if I wake up tomorrow morning and the battery's dead in my car, I could call your dad because you're going to be long gone to Bogalusa.
And if the roles were reversed and we were living down there, we're next to your parents.
Yeah, same goes both ways, but it's just it's easier to have a relationship with them, and not in a selfish way, but the same thing if they needed something,
Take it from two people, still new to our marriage, I know, and we still have a long way to go. But if I could teach you anything today, if you take anything with you, don't go to bed mad at each other and learn to just drop it sometimes. Learn to just drop it, forgive, move on, and just work together. Work. That you have to invest. If you want a good relationship, you have to invest in it. You want a good job, you have to invest in it. It takes investing and hard work to make things better. If you work somewhere starting out and you don't like the way that they treat their employees, or you don't like the way the system works, whatever, move up in the company. You cannot change a floor plan if you don't like sweeping it. That's just something for you guys to take and rest on. So, once again, my wife joined me tonight for this podcast. I enjoy having her on these things, and I feel like tonight we really got to talk about a lot of stuff and put stuff out there for everybody. Hope you guys have enjoyed it as well. This has been your good friend Justin coming at you guys. I'll talk to you guys in the next podcast, hopefully soon. But for tonight, you guys have a wonderful week out there, a wonderful month, and I'll be seeing you guys again soon.